day. Good to see you. John Bona here with the Story of Liberty. Just talking a little bit about Thanksgiving. You know the story of the Pilgrims. Of course, they were persecuted in England for their Christian faith under a tyrant named King James I. And, you know, he killed Christians. He tortured them. He was a very bad king. And these particular Christians that we're talking about became known as the Pilgrims. They were persecuted because they believed in the Bible. And they wouldn't cave in to the idea of the so-called divine right of kings, that this king had a divine right to do what he wanted. But they wouldn't do it, so they left. They made a decision as a group to leave for Leiden, Holland, where they learned the biblical principles, really, of religious, economic, and civil liberty, political liberty, from their pastor, John Robinson, who was a former dean of Cambridge University. And for over a decade, they stayed in Holland. They worked hard. They endured the trials of, exile and really poverty. And they finally made a decision after much prayer to leave for America. They knew it would be a difficult journey and possibly even facing death. One of the main reasons they left Holland was the culture. Their children were being corrupted by the culture. And so they knew and decided to make plans for a better way of life. Let's make a shot at it and go to the new world. So over 2 months, they took this dangerous voyage on the Mayflower, and they landed in Cape Cod, several hundred miles north of their planned destination. So they were outside of the king's charter, and so they decided to form their own government. And November 11th, 1620, about 50 men, a little less, gathered together in the captain's cabin, and they signed what became known as the Mayflower Compact. This was the government of the people and by the people and for the people. It's so unique because it begins in the name of God, amen. That's how the document started. And it placed in the hands of the people the right to create laws and constitutions under God's laws, under God's provision. This great document, the Mayflower Compact, became the basis for many more state constitutions throughout time, and our own Declaration and U.S. Constitution. They knew they were pilgrims. They arrived in the New World, as I said, in the fall of 1620, and winter was upon them very quickly. And the first winter was just brutal. Nearly half of the 102 pilgrims died. Most of the women, the wives, died, and only 3 families survived, were unbroken by death that first winter. But they remained thankful, and they struggled on. At times were hounded by hunger. They were starving, subsisting together on 5 grains of corn a day. Just meager food. It was really difficult. But under the direction of their new 31-year-old governor, William Bradford, the people had brought seed with them, and they planted that seed when the spring came along. They built 7 dwellings, and the good Lord had blessed them. And in the autumn of 1621, they set up time apart for the first Thanksgiving in the New World. They invited their Indian friends, and the friends brought deer, and the pilgrims, of course, provided the turkey. These festivities lasted for several days, and the most important thing is it cemented a relationship between the Indians and the white men for decades. Life was still a struggle. A couple years went on, and new arrivals came into Plymouth Bay, and they were literally shocked at what they saw. The condition of the settlers had gotten really worse. For weeks, no rain fell, and the crops were dying in the fields. They had nothing to eat. And then Governor Bradford, William Bradford, the great governor, he discerned that they had forgotten God. And so they returned to God. They called for several hours of prayer that day, and Almighty God answered them. And when they left the prayer meeting, some clouds appeared in the sky, and soon thereafter a gentle rain started to fall, and the corn and all the crops, the barley and the beans, they all stood straight up and flourished again. And God answered their prayers. and it really was the jumpstart for the second Thanksgiving, and that was held in 1623. You know, today here in America we forget these past times, but we should remember Thanksgiving is really one of those rare times that we come together to reaffirm all the good that we've received from God, all His blessings, both as a nation and as individuals. And so it is even this day, think about it, why, let's ask ourselves the question, why do Americans love Thanksgiving so much? We love it. Well, it's because we have this, I think, deep within the hearts of Americans, this desire, certainly for Christians, to be one nation under God again, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And it is God, let us remember, who is exalted in America in our national motto, "In God We Trust." And our founders declared that in our Declaration of Independence. He's the God that has blessed us with freedom and prosperity. And it's only the Judeo-Christian principles that'll bring this prosperity and freedom to America. This Thanksgiving, let us remember the original Christian model that America had from the Pilgrims for building a nation of peace and liberty and prosperity. See, the early Christians, they used the Bible, and that's the key, as the roadmap back to the blessings of God and the restoration of the land of the free and the home of the brave. God bless you.